welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. Of course, you guys already know what the theme's going to be about. It's Barbenheimer weekend, as everybody has coined it. It's been one crazy, insane weekend for the world of film. It's been exciting, to see people show up at the theaters the way that they have turned out for these films. As always, joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm good. It was a hot Sunday. I'm a fall person. I'm not digging this heat no more. So can we hurry up and get to this October weather where I thrive?
Yeah, I'm ready for myself to be drinking some pumpkin spice anything. You know what I mean? I got the pumpkin cold brew. You know what I mean? It's never too early for some pumpkin cold brew. It was hot today. It was, and it's. I'm ready for the fall. I'm ready for we don't really have seasons anymore in Tennessee.
No.
It's either super hot, super cold. There's no fall. It just goes from 110 to like 20, and it's like, where was the 50s at?
I got in my car when we left the theater, me and the family. I looked at my temperature gauge. It said 104, and I said, "Oh no."
Exactly, man. Like it's pretty crazy. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We are going to talk all things Barbenheimer from this week. We've got Barbie on deck. We're going to give our thoughts on that film. We've got Oppenheimer on deck. We're going to talk about that film. We're also going to talk about the Marvels trailer. Dom hit me up literally 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago and hit me with this one. I've begun to get really frustrated with this man every time he hits me up because he hits me with trailers that I just absolutely have no desire to watch. Of course, we'll end the show with some recommendations. And this week's rankings battle that we're going to have this week, we're going to rank our top 3 fast food French fries. I think it's going to be exciting to talk about this week. Last week, we had some good conversation about the stand-up comedy one. I posted like everywhere. A lot of people had some chatter about it. It was pretty cool. But excited for the French fry one. This one could be a little bit interesting, I think, to say the least. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our first segment of the show.
Yeah. So trailer of the week. Now, we have a lot of trailers come out, and for some indies, for some big things coming up. And of course, it's not much bigger than the MCU. Whether you are not getting the so-called superhero fatigue, I don't necessarily think that's a real thing. It's just that some of them don't hit as hard as the others, and you're like, should I see the next one? But a quick rundown of what the Marvels is going to be about. You have Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the supreme intelligence. However, unintended consequences see her shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with 2 other superheroes to form the Marvels. It's a pretty lengthy trailer, and since this is your favorite, I'll let you go first. What do you think?
All right. So, I was not a fan of Captain Marvel. I think that it is bottom tier MCU stuff. Okay. So let me start by saying that. Bottom tier Marvel. Also, when you're outstaged by a cat, that's where my biggest issue is. Now, when I watched the trailer, the first thing that got me excited was that Goose is back. The cat is back. That's all I really cared about in this trailer. However, I will say this. I am shocked. I actually liked the trailer. I thought the trailer was a lot of fun. I thought it had a lot of personality. I thought it was it was different. It was fresh. It was something we haven't really kind of seen that much in the MCU. I didn't think it's not trying to be overly serious. It looks like it's going to be some fun. Tanya Harris being in this, I didn't know she was in. I mean, literally, I knew nothing about these things. I don't watch trailers, and I hate watching trailers. I didn't want to watch this trailer, but Dom made me do it. So when I watched it, I saw that she's in it. I love her. She was great in They Clone Tyrone. So I was like, it was a great parallel seeing her in that than this. Speaking of which, don't let that movie get lost in the shuffle this weekend. It's fantastic. Watch it on Netflix.
Sure.
But I thought Brie Larson has always been weird in the role of Captain Marvel. I thought she's always been weird, and I'm not sure how I feel about her. But she looked like she was having fun here, which is something that I don't really. She showed personality, something that I don't think we've really seen from her. And I am going to absolutely, positively butcher her name, but
Iman Vellani.
Iman Vellani, she was fantastic in the Miss Marvel. I love that show.
Yeah.
So she's in this. That makes me super happy. And then, of course, the one thing that I do have faith in is the direction of Nia DaCosta, who did more recently the Candyman. I'm very excited for that as well. She's, she helped write this script. So honestly, solid trailer. Actually got me excited for the movie, and I was not excited about the movie. So don't let me down. Okay, don't let me down. Don, what would you think of it, man?
Yeah, so this is gonna give us some answers and from Captain Marvel, from WandaVision, from Miss Marvel. We're gonna finally get some of those burning questions answered. We're going to see a further expansion of this universe that they're going, like the more space they're going into, because you have this Kree Empire. We've seen a little bit of them with Ronan, the Accuser before, and same weapon is being used by this villain, which could then lead to Silver Surfer at some point, which could then lead to Galactus, and we know we have Fantastic Four coming. So unfortunately, it seems like what they do with this Captain Marvel realm is that it's a springboard into a whole bunch of other things. So the last one was a springboard into Endgame. So we all saw it not because we wanted to see Captain Marvel, but because we wanted to see what was going to tie into Endgame. And this one, it does seem to be, it's more of its own film. And we're going to see like Tiana Paris become Photon finally, it seems like. But it does seem like this is going to open up a big can of worms. It does have a lot of life in it. It does. This trio it looks very unlikely, but I feel like they're going to work really well together, especially Iman, because she's very knowledgeable on comics, and I haven't seen an actor get this giddy over the role that they're playing, and she is like diehard of all these characters. So I think that she's going to be the spark of the movie. And like you said, Cat is great. I mean, that's just that one little scene of all the tentacles coming out and she's freaked out is like my favorite part of the trailer. And then, of course, with Secret Invasion going on, we're going to get more Nick Fury and Sam Jackson, man. Like, he's carrying that show. I mean, the show's great, but I feel like he's definitely what you're watching it for. He's definitely the one taking charge, but that just him and Carol Danvers back and forth all the time has done really well. So yeah, I mean, I can't say that I wasn't gonna watch it beforehand, but I wasn't like, oh man, I'm super excited to see what's gonna happen. But after watching this full trailer, seeing a little bit of these teasers, I'm like, all right, we're gonna get some badassery, and I think the days are slowly becoming over of people whining about women-led action superhero movies, because the people who say they don't like them, I feel like they just don't want to. It's the whole, well, what about me? Well, I'm this guy that doesn't see myself, and it's like, it's not about you, bro. You've had your time. Let somebody else have their time and just enjoy what you're seeing. And if nothing else, like, enjoy the comic coming to life. You know what I mean? So just roll with it because it looks great.
Yeah, it's kind of like the backlash of Barbie. I don't see myself in Barbie. I'm like, did you really watch Barbie then? Because even as a man, there's a lot of elements of that film that you can appreciate as a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some of the men in the world need to watch that movie and understand how to deal with certain situations.
Yeah,
But
for
we won't
sure.
talk about that anymore. Let's go into the news of the week. Same, Mason. Same. Same. All right, so the breakdown of the week is going to be the Barbie and Oppenheimer box office. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happened at the box office for both of these films. One of the things that I want to touch on right away is both of these films got A cinema scores, which for me, Barbie wasn't surprising, but for me, Oppenheimer getting an A cinema score blew me away just because it's a 3 hour film. I understand it's Christopher Nolan. I understand it's got a star-studded cast, but 3 hour films getting an A cinema score from audiences blew me away. But
Yeah.
the box office was massive this week. Combined between the two films, $511 million worldwide between the two films. It never before in history in Hollywood have two films opened with 100 plus and 50 plus at the domestic box office. Let's see here. What else do we have here? All right. So for Barbie, the largest domestic box office to date this year, beating Super Mario Brothers, largest Warner Brothers advance sales, largest pre-show, largest grossing day of 2023. It sold 70 million on Friday. Sorry. It's the largest opening film directed by a female stateside, which beat, funny enough, Captain Marvel. Second highest opening for a movie from a woman filmmaker, second to only Captain Marvel. Um, Largest non-sequel, non-remake to release in July, beating Secret Life of Pets by over $40 million. Largest domestic open for Greta Gerwig and Margaret Robbie, Ryan Gosling. Let's see here. Largest opening weekend for a movie based on a toy. I mean, we're listing going on and on here. Let's see here. Christopher Nolan's third highest opening, the biggest global day and date opening weekend ever for a biopic, which ended up beating Bohemian Rhapsody, which sucked. Biggest global opening for a drama since 2019 with Creed 3, just ahead of Creed 3. Highest grossing weekend for R-rated film, beating out this year's John Wick. Biggest IMAX opening for Nolan. The list goes on and on, but incredible weekend at the box office. Just happy to watch these films produce the way they have. It's really kind of opened the door for cinemas. You mentioned when you went, it was packed. I went to see Barbie on Thursday at 3:30, and there was way more people at my theater where I live at 3:30 than I've ever seen most times on a Friday night. You know what I mean? So it was great to see. Any thoughts on the box office this weekend?
I mean, I can't say that I'm too surprised. Oppenheimer, I knew it's one of those things where I think we all, after we got done screening it, we like knew that it should make a lot of money. But like you said, like once you tell people it's 3 hours, they kind of the eyes kind of glaze over and they're like, I'm not going to see a 3 hour movie. But I mean, I think as critics, we did our jobs. We spoke the truth, and it just happens that this was a great 3 hour movie. And most of us, our only beef with the movie was that it was 3 hours. Like that was really the only gripe. And Barbie, I mean, I've been seeing on social media people preparing for months for this. I mean, I've seen people buying Barbie stuff and posting it, and like, I can't wait. I mean, I saw a guy walking in with the little pink Corvette. Seeing people like top to bottom, all pink, all different forms of Barbie. So, I mean, and it was cool to see. It's very cool to see. Like we're used to this kind of fandom for your Star Wars, your Star Trek, your Marvel, your DC, but to kind of see the other side. This is cool to see that everybody, across the board. Really, we're just like, no, this is really something that's should be fun and a great cast. And you see, like, when you put something together that's like genuine, that's the kind of return you get is all these people clamoring to see it, and possibly more than once.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've noticed as well. First off, anybody that successfully did the Barbenheimer in one day, congratulations! Like a
Yeah.
pat on your back. I didn't do it. I just didn't have time to do it. That's the biggest reason why I didn't do it. But
Yeah.
also, if you're watching this and hesitant about which one you would watch first, 1000% see Barbie first, then Oppenheimer. That's how I feel it should be.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is a film that will sit with you. I will say this to you: I've watched a couple different pieces of media, including Barbie, since seeing Oppenheimer. The biggest thing for me with Oppenheimer is there's so many images and stills from that movie that are seared in my brain, like still. And I guess that's a perfect segue to jump right into our movie reviews. All right, as we talked about, obviously, you know the two movies we're going to review. The first being Oppenheimer, follows the story of scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. The film is based on the book American Prometheus. It was written and directed by Christopher Nolan. It stars Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., and everybody else in Hollywood that didn't star in Barbie. On the flip side, Barbie. Barbie suffers a crisis that leads to her question, her world, her existence. The film stars anyone that wasn't in Oppenheimer, basically, including Margot Robbie and, of course, Ryan Gosling in the lead roles. All right, we're not gonna dissect the entire film for you guys. We're gonna kick off Oppenheimer first. Give me what worked for you, and then you know what? I'm gonna throw a curveball your way. I want you to tell me who your MVP of the film is, and I'm going to make you do it outside of Cillian Murphy because personally, he's hands down the best. You know, in
Right.
my opinion, he's the be all end all. But what did you think of Oppenheimer, and who did you think was your MVP?
I think the first thing that has stuck with me from Oppenheimer is this quote. Um, now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. That is the most chilling shit ever. Like to know that, like, okay, so the movie is phenomenal, and it kind of you have a guy who's essentially, I mean, he's a theoretical physicist, so I mean, he's a genius level intellect. And but when you give someone that has that kind of intellect, you know, kind of forcefully to do something that's a potentially playing God, and that with that quote, like I'm like, I was in the car, like this dude, like what do you do? Like, do you? I don't know. I mean, you're a scientist. You go, I want to see it happen, but then like on the flip side, so like there's this duality of the movie. It's I mean the whole thing's paradoxical, where you're like, I'm gonna do this thing, but this thing is bad, so I don't want to do it, but like I should do it. But I mean the cinematography, the score, it's one of those ones where this is a movie that when you talk about cinema that there's only I mean I feel like for me there's only a handful of movies that you say, oh, you want to get in the cinema, this is what you should watch. And even since this is a new film, this is one of those films you tell somebody like, hey, this is kind of what you want to look for. I mean the dialogue, the rampant like science that is throughout that is weirdly you can kind of follow, even though you're like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Um, but I mean, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. Again, like Mission Impossible, this is one of those films where nothing around me existed except for that movie while I'm watching it. Um, my MVP. That's a hard one. I really okay. I'm gonna say two, and one is more of an honorable mention. I'm gonna say Robert Downey Jr. Because he proved why he's why he gets to be called RDJ. When you get the little acronym like nickname, that's when you know you're good. The delivery and the kind of catty, vindictive nature of this kind of beef that goes on in the film. He really drives it, and you like want to hate him, but part of you understands, but then you're like, nah, I gotta see this dude like fall, and that's when you know if someone's really doing their job, is when you want that character to fail, and if they do, you're like, yes. And then my honorable mention would be Emily Blunt, just for that one scene where she plays this kind of meekness and unsureness, and then she just flips it on, and you're like, oh shit, she means business. She knows exactly what's going on. Yeah, I thought they was gonna take advantage of her because she was a woman, and she was like, nah. So yeah, those two, besides Killing, of course, gotta be my MVPs.
Yeah, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. seems to be the one that's really, really across the board, and there's nothing wrong with it. It really isn't. Oppenheimer for me, it to me, it blew me away in so many different levels. You touched on it a little bit. I give Christopher Nolan a ton of credit for his decision making with this film. It's not a full blown origin story, right? You know what I mean? And it's not, but at the same time, he tells the story in his non-chronological order of chain of events, like in the typical biographic thing, but how he weaves in and out of Oppenheimer's life, providing us with enough information to kind of understand what's happening without us having to be scientists at the time, was brilliant. Because you're right, we're not scientists. Like, this man's like knowledge is next level. Like, he is genius like, you know what I mean? And how he wrestles around with this, like, this existential crisis, this internal crisis. That one scene where he's in that room where they're cheering him on is one of the most frightening scenes that you'll ever see in your entire life. That's like one of the best directed 3-minute horror scenes I've ever seen, because it's so good. Like, it just. And to me, look, when you get to the 2-hour mark, it is 1000% the bomb is about to go off. And I thought to myself, I looked over at my buddy, I'm like, there's still an hour left. And to me, everybody knows my hatred of long films. This film didn't feel 3 hours to me. Once you get to, it's crazy to me how each hour got better and better.
Yeah.
The third act, in my opinion, is the best act of the entire film, especially acted-wise, because it even has that Emily Blunt scene that you're mentioning, which was incredible, which I personally feel like that should be between that and the delivery of the line of, you shook his hand.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, when she doesn't shake his hand, that to me, like that, it just built to this incredible, mind-blowing chain of events that I just, like I said at the top of the show, there's moments in this film that are seared in my brain still. And it's just an incredible piece of film. I have gotten to the point where I try not to say anything is a quote-unquote masterpiece without seeing the film more than one time. But this is as close to a masterpiece you will get on a first watch ever. It's incredible. Like, it's incredible to me. I didn't even touch on a lot of the other elements of the film that I really, I could go on and on. I'm telling you, Ludwig's score, holy shit. Like, the IMAX viewing of this, holy shit. Like, it's next level. It's the way to see this film. I don't know how in 6 months I'll ever be able to watch this film on my TV at home. I'm going to be mad because I'm not seeing an IMAX.
And I think it speaks volume too that there are so many well-known faces in this film that had maybe 1 line, 2 lines here and there, because I feel like they knew, like, this is gonna be the movie I want to be a part of. This is the one that is one of the best of the decade, maybe of the century, depending on who you are. And it's like, I want to be part of it too. Hey, I'll be in the background, time I shoot. I don't care.
It's crazy how many people that we see in this film that are just ancillary pieces. And then you're right. It's just because they wanted to be in this film. Like Jason Clarke's in this movie, and he's great as the interrogator. Tony Goldwyn is back there and just has a very few lines. Kenneth Branagh's in it only for a few minutes. Like, there's so many other pieces. But as far as my MVP goes, I'm going to go a little bit off the rail. My honorable mention is 100% Emily Blunt. Like, she might even be the MVP of the film for like outside of Killian. But I'm going to go Josh Hartnett, somebody that never gets enough love for the stuff that he's ever been in. He's an incredible actor. The fact that Christopher Nolan gave him, in my opinion, a very pivotal character in a film that wasn't, he's not a huge piece of the pie, but he's a very important piece of the pie. He gave it to Hartnett, gave an opportunity to him that I'm sure he hasn't had, like Hartnett hasn't had in a long time. And not only did he deliver, but he delivered on a high level. I loved him in this film. I hope that this opens the door to him to more films and being featured in bigger films in the near future. But I love Josh. But there's so many people that even the small moments that these people deliver, it's fantastic. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. Oh, like when I think one of my favorite scenes. There's no dialogue, but it's Josh Peck when when they're about to do this test and everybody's nervous, everybody's sweating, and he's the one who's gonna have to press this button, and it is so tense. I'm like, holy shit! Like, I don't know if I'd want to be that guy, like, because it's not your fault, but it's your fault. You press the buttons, you flip the switches. It's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. If you haven't seen this movie, see this movie. Cillian Murphy, I've already sharpied his name in for the Oscars, and not win. Definitely nominated. The transition to a lighthearted movie that's not very lighthearted, and that's Barbie. So my expectations for Barbie were high because, first off, you have Greta Gerwig, who's one of the best writing directors going right now. I saw a thing about, it's like her, Jordan Peele. You have those two that kind of they've been pinned against each other ever since, the Lady Bird battle. Lady Bird, one of the best films of the last decade. I fucking love that movie so much. So I was very excited for that. And then, of course, you look at the cast. You know what I mean? This cast is star-studded from top to bottom. You know what I mean? It's hard not to look at this cast and not get excited about it. Ryan Gosling, who I personally feel like is one of the best working actors in Hollywood with his range. He continues to show that. And then, there's so many other ancillary pieces of this film that you could talk about. I'm gonna give you this in a minute. I'll give you the same task of giving me MVP that's not Margot Robbie and not Ryan Gosling. But when I watch this film, I'll be honest. You laugh, I cried. You laugh and you cry. It's emotional. It has an emotional depth that I didn't kind of expect to it. Not that I didn't expect it, but I didn't expect to hit as hard as it did. It's a movie called Barbie.
Yeah.
The fact that Greta Gerwig got Mattel and Warner Brothers to give her $100 to $150 million to make a movie about Barbie that also subsidizes as a complete bashing of Mattel and how they handled the releasing of everything, and then how, corporate greed and all of those things that are very much reality still to this day is very much mind-blowing. The production design, I am still blown away by
they're definitely winning that this year.
Oh, 100
hands down.
And if it doesn't, like, life doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's incredible to me. Obviously, I would love to get one ticket to the Ken Mojo Dojo Casa House, please. I don't know how or what, but at some point in time behind me, I'm going to get something that says that. You know what I mean? That's going to be now the title, the Ken Mojo Dojo Casa House. You know what I mean? It's definitely brilliant. All right. So that, again, I could ramble about this movie forever. I loved it so much. My MVP that isn't Gosling or Robbie is America Ferrari. She delivers that woman monologue about halfway through the film, and one of the best acted, one of the most heartfelt. You could feel it from her bones when she was delivering those lines, how honest and how heartfelt and how real and raw what she was saying came across. Incredible. Side note, small runner-up, Michael Cera, who I love you, Alan. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely that's where I'm at with that. What about you, Dom?
So I think the first thing I'll say is because I these very shrimpy, small-minded, fake alpha male dudes who complain about Barbie being anti-male. It's pro-woman, not anti-male. It can be for everyone, even though it's boasting up females. It doesn't have to be anti-male for it to be pro-woman, but that's beside the point. I just had to get that out the way because I just keep seeing all this little weak narrative.
Basically, what he's saying is "fuck you, Ben Shapiro."
Yeah, dude. Like, God. But no, I mean, so the one thing I think my one negative of the movie is I think it's for me. I was sold this as more comedic than I thought it was than it should have than it actually was. It still had a lot of really funny moments. Some I wish they would have lasted a little bit longer. Like when we get into the real world, I wish there was a little bit more of this Barbie out of water type, fish out of water type thing. But no, I mean, this is a reminder for everyone, whether you're, especially for as a man watching, as a young, if you're a young man watching with your family by yourself, whatever, that like we do live in a world that is very man forward, and we can forget as much as we love women, we appreciate women that raised us, that take care of us, that we're married to, that we're dating. We can also forget that there's this weird thing for them that whether like that monologue, that great monologue, that yeah, women do have to do all these things and they make it look easy, so we don't always catch on as men. We overlook it, we go, why is that thing such a big deal? And a lot of the stuff is, and we just don't realize it because we don't have to worry about the same things. So it is very much a wake up call when you go, oh man, you know what, man, I need to do better. And you don't have to feel bad about yourself. It doesn't make you feel bad. It just goes, hey, these are the things that we deal with mentally, physically on a daily basis. And you might have forgot. Let me remind you. And it's not a slap, it's not a punch, it's just a quick grab, like, hey, look, remember. And you go, oh shit, I do need to remember. I appreciate that, I mean, but the acting is great. I mean, I'm not a very vibrant color person. My wardrobe was very black, gray, dark red, and I couldn't get enough of these colors everywhere. The way that it plays off the personalities, the dynamics between all the Kens is hilarious. And like you said, Gosling, we, my mom came with us, and it's the first scene where you can see like his stomach, and she goes, "Oh, that's fake." And I said, it zoomed in. I said, "It ain't that fake. That dude's ripped. I don't. You're mistaken." Margot Robbie's great, of course, and I'm glad that as much talent as she has, I'm glad this is a film that she's leading. That's finally she's gonna get that recognition in the box office. But there's a lot, just like Oppenheimer. There's a lot to take in after the fact and have conversations and think. And I mean, the film. I think I saw someone on Facebook asking, "It's PG-13. Can I bring my young daughter?" Yeah, you might have to explain some things, but that's how being a parent works. But the movie, I think, is more for the generations who grew up with Barbie in the beginning stages, are our parents, our generation, and also the young kids who possibly just quote unquote outgrew Barbie, which is I was thinking about. It's so funny that we outgrow things because we're like, oh, I'm in middle school or high school and I can't like these things no more. As soon as you're an adult, you go, it doesn't matter. I can go like these things again. Who cares? So if you like Barbie right now, you're 12, 11, 13, and you want to still like them, who cares? But yeah, the same thing. My MVP would have been America Ferrera, and but also the girl who played her daughter, Ariana Greenblatt. She represented this new Gen Z perfectly. They're a little more informed. They're not taking none of the fake bullshit. They understand more than we did on what's going on. And she realized that if this person wants to do better, let's help them do better. There was a part where they could have turned back and be like, we're done. And she was like, nah, you know what? We need to fight. And that generation, or this new generation, we've definitely seen when everybody else kind of gives up, they're the ones who keep on fighting. So I feel like that was a great representation. But yeah, I mean, overall, I have mostly positives with the film. It's definitely one I think I want to watch again, because you do get kind of caught up in, oh, that's funny, and this thing, and there's so many moving pieces that you might miss some things. But
When them dudes when those dudes ride into town on the fake horses,
yeah,
that's the funniest.
I mean, and even just like that commentary when they go into the boardroom and it's Barbie, but it's all guys. Now, granted, Will's character seemed like he wants to do the best for women that he can,
Yeah.
but you're still a bunch of dudes. And I did like the fact that if you're a sex education fan from Netflix, you get 3 of the actors from that show on here, which is really cool. And one of them is also about to be the next Doctor on Doctor Who.
Yep.
Fucking cool. Yeah, I mean, and just because we have movie stars again, like legit movie stars, a lot of these actors are also superheroes. So it's just fun to see all these different people pop up. The Lizzo singing / commentary is hilarious. The Helen Mirren commentary is hilarious. And yeah, I mean, it's a really good movie. It's worth the hype.
Yeah, it really is. I agree. And it's just worth going to see just to hear him sing to you, I'm just Ken. So,
boy,
we got a movie star right there, man. He's trying to be a movie star.
Oh man, these watch recommendations. Actually, so we're gonna talk about things you should be watching, whether they're new or old, show or movie. And I have an old movie this week. I follow, like many people, Cleo Thomas, and I believe they had like a 20-year anniversary of Couples recently. And so I was like, kept popping up on my TV, and I was like, man, it was always a great movie when I was younger. Let me see what it's about again. It holds up. It's still great. My wife hadn't seen it, or hadn't seen it in a while. And no, that it still holds up. It's still a great movie. You see how great that whether his personal stuff is problematic or not, how good Shia was. And young Cleo, for being that young, really good. That's why that character of Zero is so iconic now. But no, I mean that and it's like that movie's a lot deeper than I remember, especially for being a Disney film. It deals a lot with like race and the prison kind of system. It's a lot there. And then television. There's been a lot of news of Invincible Season 2. It's dropping, officially announced that it's dropping in November, I believe November 3rd. But Friday they dropped a special episode which is about Adam Eve and gives you like her whole kind of origin story. It's close to an hour long. It's really fucking good. And you realize like her character is the truth. Like Invincible's cool, Omni-Man's cool, but if Adam Eve is able to fully go where she wants to, She is the most badass character in the comic and in this series. And hopefully we get to see some more of what we see in this episode and this new upcoming season. So make sure you check that out on Prime because it is fire. What you got?
So for me, there's a brand new show that just kicked off on Paramount Plus actually today, called Special Ops Lioness. It's another show from Taylor Sheridan over on Paramount Plus. The first 2 episodes dropped today. It's about the Special Ops Lioness program in the Marines. It's based on an actual U.S. military program. It stars Zoe Saldana, and she's fantastic in it. I've seen the first 2 episodes. She's fantastic. I'm going to say this name terribly, but Laisla Del Alvarez. Yep. She plays Cruz. Can't even fucking say names anymore. I'm fucking tired. But she plays Cruz on the show. She's fantastic. Huge fan so far. The first 2 episodes of the show. Really, really good. Some good drama, some good storytelling. I'm glad you did a little bit of a throwback. My throwback's to this year only, but from earlier in the year, a film that I feel like still gets slept on. I was going through because I was trying to figure out where I was going to rank Oppenheimer and Barbie in my top 10, and then I threw Fake Clone Tyrone in my top 10 now. So it's like these 3 movies came out this weekend. I had to shake up my top 10. I took all the movies out of my top 10 that haven't been released yet out of there just so that I could see what a top 10 looks like. So it's a movie that is sitting at number 4 on my top 10 list, and that's Ride Lane. It dropped on Hulu earlier this year. I saw it back at Sundance, rewatched it whenever it dropped on Hulu. Rain Allen Miller's directorial debut. The film was written by Nathan Byron and Tom Malaya, starring Vivian Opria and David Johnson. It's one of the best, more unique and fun, beautifully shot rom-coms that I've seen this year. It's like a tight 82 minutes, and it's fantastic. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I love this film so much. It continues to be one of my favorite films. As I've seen so many different films, it has not shifted from that top range. Now, sure, it moved down to 4 now. It was 2-ish, 3-ish. Past Lives is still number 1. Hasn't moved. Probably won't move, even with Oppenheimer. But very, very excited. I love it. Please watch it. Please watch it. It's on Hulu now. Before we dive into our French fries rankings, if this is where you stop, some people might stop on the movie talk. They won't join the French fry discussion. If you don't join us in the French fry discussion, you don't deserve us during our movie conversations. But that being said, next week we will be tackling 2 films we've actually already seen. One being Talk to Me, the other one being Haunted Mansions. Both of those films come out next Friday. Support both of them, just because. You've got a very independent horror film with 2 Australian directors. I'm not going to talk too much about the film, but please do that. But then on the side of Haunted Mansions, I really would love people to support that film just because you have Lakeith Stanfield in the lead. It is a black-led film, which is fantastic because he's a fantastic actor. And if that movie for some reason doesn't do well, which I don't know if you knew this, but the budget of that movie is over $150 million.
Oof.
I did not know that. Now it's going up against the second weekend of Barbie and Oppenheimer and like the third weekend of Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. I'm like, oh my God. Like, that really set my dude up for failure. But please support that. But that we'll be talking about Talk to Me and Haunted Mansions. Haunted Mansions we actually saw like 2 weeks ago now, but we can't say much about that. But yeah, let's talk French fries. All right. So I actually got this thing. I sent it over to Dom. This was somebody's rankings. I don't know who it was, or just had these on there. But I think it just had the different fries of the fast food places on here. I mean, obviously got Chick-Fil-A, McDonald's, Arby's, Wendy's, Burger King, Five Guys, Steak and Shake, Whataburger, Checkers. Obviously, this can't be an order of ranking because it's so messed up. Hurt my eyes. But Dom, we're going to do top 3 French fry rankings. I want you to give me 3 and 2, and then we'll do the 1 as the dramatic end there. So what do you got?
So my 3 and 2, you could say that they're somewhat related, but that doesn't matter because it's still fucking delicious. 3, I got the crispy spicy seasoned checkers. And then number 2, I have the spicy seasoned crispy curly Arby's fries.
Yeah, like who cares? I don't like they're both they're both delicious.
And they're so good. They sell them both in the frozen food aisle. So like that's how you know they're fire.
Coming in at number 3 is going to be those curly fries from Arby's. They're just so good. You can't really go wrong with those. Number 2, it might be a little bit of a controversial take. I'm going to Chick-Fil-A Waffle Fry. I love the Chick-Fil-A Waffle Fry. I know a lot of people think it's an overrated French fry, but I love the Chick-Fil-A French fry. And then Dom, what's your number 1?
Oh, my number 1 should, you got to give it a crown. You can't disrespect it. It's the Five Guys fries. It's the flavor, it's the freshness, it's the abundance, your bang for your buck. And then, pro tip, if you say, hey, I want my fries extra crispy, and you don't want, you can get them a little crispy, or you don't want to have to, get them a little soggy or whatnot. But they gotta be number 1.
It's the go. The Five Guy fries are the go. Period. Like, and on top of that, like even better, if you want to kick it up a notch, get the Cajun ones.
Yeah,
they're delicious too. Like,
yep,
you can't go wrong. Sure, does the fact that you get like this abundance of them, does that maybe help sway you a little bit? Maybe, but they're delicious on top of that. And on top of that, after you spend your $92 buying your burger and your fries and your drink, you do get fries that are delicious. You know what I mean? Just.
I remember the first time I ever went to a Five Guys, and I go, hey, I order my burger, and of course I go, hey, can I get a large fry? She looks at me and said, is this just for you? I said, yeah. She goes, nah, you don't want that. I said, look at me. Yeah, I need that large fry. She said, you'll probably want the regular or the small. I said, nah, you heard what I said. Give me that large fry, please. She said, all right, I get the biggest bag of fries I've ever seen in my life. I'm walking out the door. She looks at me and said, I told you. Because all I could do was look at it like, am I supposed to get this many? I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
And then forever since then, I was like, because for myself, sometimes I just want fries. I don't want a whole meal. I just want fries. And if I know I can get that satisfaction from a place, it's gonna be Five Guys, and I just give me a big ass bag of fries, maybe a milkshake, and I'm cool.
Yeah, that's like a meal. You could make a meal out of that. You know what I mean? All right, real quick, give me them the 3 through 1 more time.
Checkers, Arby's, Five Guys.
Arby's, Chick-fil-A, and Five Guys. That's going to be the fry rankings of the week. I can't wait to dive into whatever the hell we dive into next. This has been fun, just finding random shit to rank each week. But this has been fun. It's been fun. It's been a fun weekend. I'm excited about it. I'm excited for next weekend. I think that I really enjoyed both films that we're going to talk about next weekend. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. Watch the movies and TV shows and all that stuff that we recommended to you, and make sure to check back in same time next week, same time every week, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here. We're talking movies. We're talking French fries. We're talking who knows what else. You know what I mean? Whatever the world pops up, we'll be here. We'll be talking about it. We'll see you guys next week.